Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR Today, Tuesday morning. It's October 5th, 2021. The man they call Meathead and the lovely Linda K. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Meathead. I'm enjoying this crisp autumn morning here in October. I'm looking at my
It doesn't feel like July outside?
No, I mean, the weekend was pretty warm, I suppose, but I'm enjoying this crisp October morning, looking at my Halloween decor.
Okay.
Getting in that Halloween mood. You know I love my Halloween and I love my
I do.
horror. Yes.
Yeah. You now in Halloween in October, you like to get ramped up ready for, Halloween in October, get your, all your decorations out. You know what I do in October? I get mentally into that headspace because it comes November 1st. It's that time of year again where I shave it all down.
Ooh,
and it's time to grow a mustache.
Right. That's right. I thought you were going to say you get your mindset ready for the World Series.
Well, I'm ready for the World Series every day.
So. Oh, okay. But yeah, November 1st. That's right. You do your thing, Meathead.
November 1st, we get that big, bushy, Ned Flanders-esque mustache going for prostate cancer research. So, Hey, but you know who else I enjoy? And matter of fact, we need to talk to our guy, our collar and elbow guy. Maybe we can get them hooked up with my friends at Movember. Maybe we can get a collar and elbow Movember t-shirt. I'd be all over that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you heard me mention it yesterday morning about collar and elbow having a pink t-shirt out right now. And that's doing, spreading awareness. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We got to talk to Uncle Al and collar and elbow guy. Let's get this going.
Yeah, absolutely. And, while we're on the topic of awareness and t-shirts, we got to talk more about our sponsor, of course, Collar and Elbow. Make sure to go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Check out the latest and greatest in wrestling street fashions. Talked about the October awareness shirt for breast cancer awareness. And you heard me mention at the top of the hour, Halloween's around the corner. We've got the Frankenhead t-shirt on there, the 4 Headless Horsemen shirt on there, and everything else. Collarandelbowbrand.com. And to save a little money, to save yourself that 10% off your order, use promo code LindaK. That's LINDAKAY to save a little bit of extra cash.
I wonder what we should ask for. Should we ask for mustache rides? Should we ask for, show me my mustache, we'll show you yours, something like that. Where do we go with that? I mean, seriously, let's get to talking. Next trip down to Louisville, next trip down to the Ville. Let's get this thing cracking.
I will make sure to mention it.
There we go. All right. We've got a lot to mention tonight. You said, and I giggled at you, not intentionally, but you said, let's try to get a crisp, clean 20 out. I said, that's not going to happen. We've got draft talk. All right. And Raw was on the air last night, and we had a bunch of picks that happened on SmackDown, a ton more of picks that happened on Talking Smack Saturday morning. And it was a 3-hour show last night on Raw. So we had, was it 6 rounds? I think it was 6 rounds. It was 2 per hour. We had 6 rounds of 3 picks a piece or 2 picks a piece. I don't remember what it was. It might have been 3. But lots of picks. Plus, there was picks that were also made on the Raw Talk right after. Linda, let's get into this. Without going line by line and pick by pick, I want you to tell me your hits and misses from the draft. Who stays on Raw, who stays on SmackDown, who goes from SmackDown to Raw, and who goes from Raw to SmackDown?
Well, I mean, it kicked off with Becky Lynch coming out.
She called her own shot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it technically wasn't official until they made the first round take place. But
she wasn't playing games. She literally said, nah, I'm going to be the number 1 pick.
And it happened. Like Adam Pearce said, the cat's out of the bag. Let's talk about our first pick here on Raw for night 2, of their draft. And yeah, Becky Lynch, I mean, considering Charlotte was drafted to SmackDown, pretty clear Raw would be getting Becky Lynch, but I thought that was a hot start. Not only her coming out and stating that, but it being official that Becky Lynch would now be a women's champion on Raw. I also, what stood out to me are continued rivalries that, we thought maybe it might be the end of certain feuds. Instead,
right, but they move shows.
Yeah. For example, Seth Rollins going over to Raw, which after what we saw between Seth and Edge on SmackDown last week, where he broke into their house, I would assume and hope Edge would continue or would get his retaliation, if you will, on Seth. So looks like we'll still get that on Monday Night Raw. We have, let's see, the Street Profits now
Street
being
Profits
back
are on
on
Raw.
Raw.
Yeah.
I know you and I talked about that yesterday as well, considering Bianca and
Couples. Yeah, Bianca
thank you.
and Montez Ford.
Montez, thank you.
You're
But it is good to have certain, splitting up the different tag team rosters. I thought was great. Some of them, were surprise moves that were not off the bat. I mean, we just saw Eric and Ivar. I mean, I guess they weren't going after Reggie's 24/7 title necessarily in back, but then all of a sudden they were drafted over to SmackDown. It was like, okay,
right.
I wasn't sure which title they were necessarily going after. But the NXT picks were a surprise. Well, I mean, Xia Li, we haven't seen her on NXT
she's
for
very
a while.
Yeah, she's very stoked. I didn't know we were going to get her to talk because she had been pretty silent, but she will be the first ever Chinese American to be on WWE main shows.
Yeah, and I liked that package they showed on her because it reminded me like, wow, she was quite a powerhouse at NXT where they had her change over character and then she was gone for a little bit, and that was a nice surprise since we knew we were bringing up some NXT names. The whole thing with Gable Steveson, kind of funny that he was in his living room with his parents, like draft night, like football draft night, waiting to be picked.
You know what would have been even better? I know Baker Mayfield did this. Remember Brett Favre's picture of him getting drafted, laying in
with the phone with that big old telephone. So
yep,
it was
and in the jorts and all that.
The jorts, yes.
Baker Mayfield did that too. We needed Gable Steveson to do that too. I mean, not
with the Zach Morris phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Okay, so that part made me chuckle, but that was a big pickup for was it Raw? I think Raw got him. So
Raw has
cool
Gable.
To see. Yeah, and then when they panned over and just showed like the new Raw picks, the new landscape for Raw, I was like, wow, there's a lot of heavy hitters on there.
Yeah.
So
I will say that Raw's draft night seemed to be a lot bigger. Granted, it was 3 hours. There was more picks. There was more tag teams. You mentioned picks from NXT coming up. I'd like to actually go down the list of picks from night 2 on Raw from NXT. So let's bring up the picks that came from NXT that are coming up to the big show. We've got Xia Li going to SmackDown. We also have let's see, I'm scrolling down my list here. Ridge Holland is heading to SmackDown. Yeah. I think that's a big pick right there.
Literally.
Yeah. Let's talk about the picks. I don't know if you folks listening to the program here have been on the interwebs yet and seen the additional picks that happened after Raw went off the air during Raw Talk. We've got a bunch of them. And Linda, we're going to go over just these here because everybody's seen Raw already. Liv Morgan going to Raw. Dana Brooke on Raw. Now, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode are also going to be on Raw. Jackson Riker stays on Raw. Here's what confuses me. Veer stays on Raw. But Jinder Mahal and Shanky go to SmackDown. That part I don't understand. Mia Yim without her mask. Not Reckoning. Mia Yim is on Raw. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin on Raw. The Miz on Raw. Shotzi Blackheart to SmackDown. Natalya to SmackDown. Jinder Mahal to SmackDown. And Shanky to SmackDown. Now, here's another thing. It looked like Tamina is on Raw. Tegan Nox on Raw. So they busted up a bunch of teams in the second night. Your thoughts?
Yeah, rather surprising moves. You mentioned
they had a bunch of couples taken care of. We talked about it yesterday. Yeah. They took care of the married couples and the dating couples or whatever you want to call it, but the couples got to stay.
Right. Yeah, Carmella and Corey Graves are on the same show if they're still an item. And Mia Yim, Keith Bearcat Lee.
Yep.
Both on Raw now. Okay. So as far as the split tag teams, yeah, quite surprised, especially out of all those, I would say the whole Jinder Mahal, Veer, and Shanky split, just because I feel like a lot was put forth to get them as a heavy trio. took place this summer. I thought maybe there could have been more time with that to really build them up more.
Yep, exactly.
And then they bring Shanky over with Jinder, which I feel if you're going to split Veer and Shanky, I feel like Shanky may have been a better solo talent on Raw or SmackDown just because of his size alone. Perhaps maybe I'm just picturing him in a Moss, just throwing that out there. But that was a surprise. And then, we just saw Natty and Tamina wrestle last night, and now it's a quick split. They weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the tag team champs not too long ago. So that
not too long ago, one reign ago. I mean, they lost to the current tag team champion.
Right, which did not take place that long ago. So that again, a surprise. And then Shotzi and Knox, I guess they haven't been a tag team very long, kind of put together.
What was that we were talking about off air? I mean, did Shotzi and Knox ever get their title match?
I don't believe so.
Even though they kept beating Natalya and Tamina?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I have another pick. I know we already went over the ones that took place during Raw, but Shayna Baszler going to SmackDown. I think that one was
Shayna Baszler
nice
is
to see too.
Big deal out there.
Yeah.
Here's something that I found kind of funny. I called this out to you again before we came on the air. You said you didn't catch it, but Matthew Thomas and myself had been calling for the pick of a couple NXT talents that didn't get picked. And of course, I'm going to, pound the table and, pine over it. But I feel they missed. And a bunch of fans within microphone shot of Scrap Daddy and Sonya Deville thought, what the next pick? Monday Night Raw selects LA Knight. And then they say somebody else. They kept calling for LA Knight all night long. Somebody kept yelling LA Knight's name. It could have been LA Knight himself calling out his own name. I don't know, but I really
could have been the Mott's. Was he in Nashville last night?
It could have been the Mott's. Maybe Mott's was in the Nashville. I don't know. But I do feel that with this edict saying that they want talents that look like they could headline WrestleMania, there is no bigger talent that looks like he could headline than LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you and Matthew talking about him being a top NXT acquisition if it happened, but I mean, unless there's still some, rollover draft picks taking place today, hopefully he's just.
I think we're done. I think that's it
on NXT. Well, hopefully LA Knight does get a bigger push right now on NXT. I mean, he was riding high, being the $1 million champ, the whole thing with him and Cameron Grimes, tremendous. But the whole NXT 2.0, I don't need to mention. I know you guys already discussed it thoroughly about what happened that first night and even last week. So literally. So hopefully, we all love LA Knight. Put him on a bigger pedestal back on NXT if you're going to keep him NXT.
Wouldn't it be funny if it's his music and that stupid name holding him back?
No, I don't think the music's that bad.
I can't stand it. It sounds like somebody learned how to play the synthesizer, and that's the first song they came up with, or the one that was stored in the keyboard. But that's me. So big things popping, little things dropping over the last few days. I mean, again, just think about it. You said it. The feuds between Edge and I wanted to mention this too right away. Edge and Seth Rollins. When Edge is calling two guys by name, do you know who he was referring to when he was telling Beth go over by blank and blank?
I don't know who Dan and Dave are.
They are FTR.
Really?
Really. Dax and Harwood. Look it up. It was fantastic. Because if you look at the story of Edge getting ready to come back, I think it was a day, 24, whatever, a day in the life of Edge. He's training with one of the members of the Revival, who are now FTR. Yeah, he said go over by them. They're Carolina boys, so.
Yes, I don't think we mentioned that in yesterday's podcast, but when he was talking to Beth and saying, I don't care about the groceries in the car.
Right. Daniel and David. Those are the names of actually. Yep. It sounds like it's a throwaway. No, it's FTR.
That's tremendous. Thanks for sharing that. I was still just thinking about the groceries, spoiling.
I don't care about the groceries. Who cares about tomatoes?
and how Edge didn't recognize the house right away, and that, it did say Copeland, but then it said beware the wiggle butts underneath. I'm like, is that a Halloween or a movie reference? I'm not really sure. Anyways, that was a great segment as well last week on SmackDown.
Uncle Dax, FTR, and Cash. So Dax and Cash Wheeler. Uncle Dax tweeted out, I'll go over there right now and beat his little bitch ass. Cash retweeted him, and Dax pulling up in the pickup truck at Daly's place. Here's the funny thing, Raw, I don't think Fox will ever get away with this, but Raw dropped another S-bomb last night. And Seth Rollins said shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Randy Orton called Omasa a B.
Oh, the B part, I'm not. The B can slide by. That's a 10 Eastern, 9 Central.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
One more thing I do want to bring up here. Well, actually, two more things. Austin Theory debuting on Raw last night and taking selfies with Jeff Hardy and then beating him up and taking another selfie. That may get him over with me. That was kind of funny.
Well, I think his last appearance on NXT still got him to be a fan favorite, or at least not say fan favorite, but us liking him. How he brought a priest to the wedding and just him in the way. He was very lighthearted. Is the way it was becoming more accepted, or more face at least. So bringing in Austin Theory already to Raw and having him do that to Jeff Hardy. Okay, now he's got heat, but I think that was well done.
And those pictures are out there. He tweeted those pictures out. Like I said, that, my friend, that may get you over with me. That's pretty damn funny.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I'll just say one more thing. Sorry, it's coming to me now that we're talking more about Raw in the draft. I like that the Hurt Business is still together. And
what? Out of all these tag teams that broke up, I would have not been surprised if they broke up the Hurt Business again. That one would have been ironically making sense to me. But nope, they're together, and I'm okay with it.
Oh yeah. And another continued rivalry, Carmella, and now Liv Morgan, as we found out on Raw Talk, is going to Raw. So, but yeah, some shakeups. I thought, all in all, as you mentioned, that there were more picks from Raw for the 3-hour show, and it was just done better. I liked it.
I liked it too. I thought it was fantastic. So, all right. So that was it. But there was one more thing I wanted to bring up from Raw last night. It starts this Friday on SmackDown. It's the King of the Ring and the women's. What was the name of the women's tournament? It was like the women's
Queen's Crown
Royal, something like that.
Crown Royal.
A slice of lime. I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Little Crown Royal, apple cranberry stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yep. Oh, the Queen's Crown.
Queen's Crown.
I think. Yeah.
But Xavier Woods, literally, when he got his pinfall victory, started screaming, "Crown me! Crown me! Crown me!" He has been pining for that crown for over a year. Xavier Woods has got to be the odds-on story favorite and the odds-on favorite to win this tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, he has to win this now. I would be devastated if he did not. I don't want it to be too predictable. We had Kofi having his big moment, Big E currently having his big moment as champion as well.
Time for Dr. Xavier Woods, because he's a doctor. He has a doctorate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he's been, like you said, pining for King of the Ring to take place again. And then we got the announcement, I think it was last week, maybe, that this week, or starting this Friday on SmackDown.
Yeah, on the season premiere of SmackDown. Yeah.
Right. That made me happy because, and I've mentioned this on air here before numerous times as well. My first WWE live event was WWF, 1996, King of the Ring here in Milwaukee, where Alpha 16 was born. So King of the Ring has that little special place for me as well. But it also was a tournament, a pay-per-view that I really truly enjoyed as growing up watching wrestling as well. So hopefully this will do it some justice.
And then finally, if you didn't catch the commercial, if you were fast forwarding through commercials, they announced a handful of new live dates. One of those for our local listeners, Milwaukee. There's going to be a Raw in December at the 5-Star Forum.
And I'll be there. I'm assuming you'll be there, Meathead.
Yep.
It's Christmas week too, so.
Do you know it's Christmas time at all?
Oh my God! And the 5-Star Forum, the Deer District for everyone else. That's the Deer District out there. It's going to be decorated in lights. That'll be an extra special.
And we'll still be celebrating, obviously, the defending NBA champions, and probably at that point defending the World Series champion Milwaukee Brewers.
Ooh.
So while the Green Bay Packers are playing for a first round bye. I mean, things just looking up. I mean, everything's coming up Millhouse is what it is. All right. That's The Simpsons, folks. Look it up. So for Linda, thank you, Linda, for joining me the last couple of days. I'm glad that you and I got to do SmackDown talk, Raw talk, draft talk. We got lots to talk. We didn't even talk Seth Rollins yet. Do you want to get this in real quick? I feel like I feel bad that I asked you to watch this 2-hour program and we have no time to talk about it.
We can talk about it. I enjoyed it.
All right, let's talk about this part. Actually, I did want to bring this up with Seth Rollins. I absolutely loved hearing the story of how while he's working in Ring of Honor, he's got a contact, John Laurinaitis, Johnny Powers, or no, what was his name? It was, what was his, People Power. That's it, Johnny People Power. John Laurinaitis, yes. The Raw general manager. But John Laurinaitis calling him up and trying to get something done. Jim Cornette actually being a big advocate for him, trying to get something done with WWE. And then Terry Taylor working directly as the head of talent relations for Impact Wrestling. And he feels bad because he had a verbal agreement to go to Impact as Tyler Black. And then Jim Cornette's screaming at him, don't sign anything. Don't sign anything. Gets him into NXT, Florida Championship Wrestling, actually, at that point. And he tells a story about how Triple H almost fired him because Seth Rollins / Tyler Black didn't want to listen to anybody. And Terry Taylor had already come over to the company and now was in charge. And he's just picking a fight with him every day. And he goes, I think it was leftover heat from the Impact thing, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it came full circle. I remember him talking about how, him being so green at the time, like him feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to say something to Terry Taylor about just ignoring his phone calls or not giving him that answer to complete that actual contract with TNA at the time, and waiting for that phone call from Johnny Ace, and it happened. So he did take the advice of Jim Cornette, and then him getting in trouble with Triple H, he took the advice of course, Dusty Rhodes, and for him to be himself. And
see, Daddy, you gotta be yourself, right? Nobody can be you. You're you.
See, I did not do what Seth that he said. He's got to talk in the Dusty voice as you just did. But yeah, as you mentioned, as everyone has said, how great Dusty was and the advice that they've taken from him, using it to the best of to make themselves as best as they can be, which obviously Seth Rollins did.
You see that advice living right now through Cody Rhodes, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, every Broken Skull Ranch episode, great hearing the stories. The Seth Rollins one I really enjoyed. Just finding out how much work he did put into where he is now, about his school.
Black and Brave, right?
Yeah.
You have a story about that, the Black and Brave.
Yeah, one of our GLCW talents, Perfection, he's currently a student at the Black and Brave Academy. And I know that for a fact because when I introduce him, I say representing the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. So it's cool to see that as well. And just seeing that other side of Seth Rollins, obviously, his current character, devious, mischievous.
He is the drip god. And he was dripping all over our screens last night with an S-bomb.
Indeed.
That's 2 years in a row that he's carried a feud over during the draft. Because remember, we were like, oh, please get drafted to SmackDown and leave Ray on Raw so that way we don't have to talk about eyeballs anymore. Oh, no, they both went over there.
That's right. And I was like, still? Again? Yeah.
Again. The other thing that we had talked about is the fact that he was kind of salty. And it's funny that he brings it out because he's now married to the woman. I believe they were dating at the time. But he said his girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife and the mother of his child, took his main event spot at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, he said he was hurt by it. But, she was the hottest.
She was the hottest thing going.
And it made, sense if you're going to have the woman headline WrestleMania for the first time, that was the year, that was the time, and of course
it had to happen
for her. Oh yeah.
You know what? Brock Lesnar versus an Undertaker match wasn't beating that one. That was going underneath it. That match was going to main event.
Yeah, I do like how he mentioned how him and Brock talked about it, and he's like, it was decided last minute they're going to open the show.
Yeah, because Heyman came out and says he so doesn't want to be here that he demanded to go on first so he could leave this podunk town or something like that. I remember that. So no, I was really happy with it. Folks, if you haven't watched this yet, spend the time and watch it. I thought it was a great show. They pounded a bunch of Steve Weisers. There's been different types of drinking that have gone on the Broken Skull Ranch, right? When Undertaker came on, he brought in his own wine. I don't know if you remember that. Big Show, when he was on there a couple times, had his own beers to the side. And, when Big Show did the interview, it was like live after a Raw. And literally Big Show came off from being in the main event and walked over and did the interview right at that point where Steve was live in the back of the building that night. And they talk a little bit too about what it was like to have to work through the pandemic and actually have the crowd back. So take a minute, listen to the program, watch it. You could even drive in your car and just play it on the side and not even have to watch it, right, Linda?
Yes. Keep your eye on the road, though.
Keep your eye on the road. Just put it on. You don't have to watch it. There's nothing to see. Just listen. Treat it like a podcast that you can, just hear. All right. Tomorrow morning, we've got Matthew Thomas. We're going to talk everything NXT. How is the draft going to affect what's going on in NXT? We're going to get new NXTs in 2.0. We also have the debut of the youngest NXT superstar ever. She's going to come on. I think she said she was 19. So we're going to have her debut as well. And what happens to our guy, L.A. Knight? Yeah. All that, plus a preview of Dynamite coming up this Wednesday. So for Linda Kay, the man they call me, hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.